Hi, I'm Jaime Coffey from the WNBA's Golden State Valkyries, and you're watching and listening to PAA Game Day.
Please welcome the host of PAA Game Day and a public address announcer for Syracuse University and Colgate University, as well as the New York State Public High School Athletic Association for numerous championships, Tom Winiecki.
So welcome back, folks, to another episode of PAA Game Day, where we go inside the stories of the voices that bring your sports to life, to those voices that we hear all the time, but we seldom get to know. I'm your host, Tom Winiecki, and today we're talking with someone who shattered barriers, made a bit of history, inspired a new generation of voices, and is a darn good public address announcer, too. From the WNBA to Major League Baseball, and even being the first woman to announce an NBA and an NFL game, her voice is echoed across some of the biggest moments in sports. So let's welcome to the podcast, Jaime Coffey. Jaime, thanks so much. Find some time. I know you're very busy. Take some time and sit with us. We appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. That's a big intro to live up to. So I appreciate that. And you have some lovely pipes yourself, sir.
Well, we'll end up talking about you today, if that's okay.
That's okay. We can talk about me today. I'll take an hour to talk about myself.
That sounds good. So, Jaime, your career has taken you from high school to some of the biggest stages in professional sports. But take us back to the beginning. How did all of this start for you?
You know, it's funny because even as a kid, which is really where it all started, I always had a mic in my hand, some sort, whether it was a hairbrush, acting like a mic, whatever I could find. I'd pretend to do my own little radio shows. I'd get in the living room. I'd interview my friends. Mm-hmm. I kind of always knew that was where I belonged, behind the microphone. And so I like to connect with people through my voice. So I kind of just continued to pursue that, right? Still had the interest in high school. I really wanted to be a newscaster in high school. I remember writing my career paper on being a newscaster. And then I went into college and I majored in journalism at Fresno State. I got an emphasis in radio, television news. It was journalism, radio, TV news. And did an internship at a TV station and decided that I was going to go into radio. So the TV station happened to own a radio station as well. And so right out of college with my degree, I went into radio news. And I remember with a degree making $5 an hour. And I was like, wow, I'm not going to get rich doing this. Although keep in mind, this was a very long time ago. We're talking the mid 90s at this point. And decided to leave radio news for more like music. I wanted to go into music radio. So still, again, spending time behind the microphone. And I spent about 10 years in radio. I remember moving to Houston when I was about 25 years old. And that was my first big paycheck. And I thought, okay, I can do this. And then radio, you cannot count. I mean, one day you have a job and the next day you don't have a job. It just wasn't a stable career, I decided. And I wanted to have a house and I wanted to do all the things that grown-ups do. So I left radio eventually for a career with the state, but I knew I still wanted to deal in communications and deal with people in the media. I continue to do that to this day. But while I was in radio, I did have somebody reach out to me. I was in Sacramento and they had a WNBA team at the time. This was 2001. And they mentioned, hey, they're looking for a PA announcer. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't grow up playing basketball and I had never been a PA announcer before. And we're talking the professional sports. Mm-hmm. So I auditioned and I got the job. And I was like, well, great. Now what? So I spent about 9 seasons there with the team before the team went away. But before, during that time, I made a lot of connections, and I, also picked up gigs. I call it my side hustle, my PA announcer job. I picked up some gigs working in college as well. I've been Sacramento State's PA announcer for women's basketball for 24 years now. So I've been doing it for a while. I also did the high school level, did the CIF. So I've worked every level, but I like the energy, so I keep doing it. And it's kind of one of those things that I think when I finally do step away from what I call my grown-up job, working for the state as the communications director, I really just want to focus all my attention to jobs, PA announcer jobs. I like doing it. Again, I know I can't live on that myself. Because again, I've grown accustomed to living a certain way, and which is what having a full-time job affords. But I love doing PA announcing, and I absolutely love working in the sports field. So it began, and I feel like that's where my career will stay as long as my voice allows me, and I continue to get opportunities.
Well, yeah. Now, talking about all those different levels and coming up and doing all those different things, there had to have been some people that have helped you, listened to your questions, given you advice. Who were those people that helped shape you as you moved along?
In the beginning, I really just kind of the people sitting next to me at the table, right? I mean, those people had been working in the field for a while, so they had worked with other PA announcers. And it's a small community, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I have no problem reaching out to, in fact, this past season, I went back into the WNBA. I left it in 2009 when the team went away, and I continued working other events as a PA announcer. But when I went back into it in 2025, how many years later, 16 years later, I reached out to a good friend of mine who I've gotten to know through just connecting on social media. I reached out to Chet Buchanan, who's the PA announcer for the Aces, and I picked his brain, and I just, had to get back into it. So I continue to keep learning. I think you never stop learning. You should always you continue to improve and better yourself. And there's so many people that you can learn from in this industry, male and female. I don't think, I have to solely focus on learning from other females. I want to learn. I want it just to be gender neutral, so to speak.
Well, I would imagine that you're almost looking forward to the day where somebody doesn't say that's a good female PA announcer. Instead, they say that's a good PA announcer.
And I hope that I am getting that. Maybe you don't always hear the feedback from the fans. What's nice about working in some of these events, I'm very close to them, right? They have the ability to walk up behind me and say something, and it always feels good to hear the positive feedback. Of course, you can't please everyone, but yes, I do look forward to the day when it's not, I'm just referred to as a PA announcer, not a female or a woman PA announcer. Do I get jobs because they're looking specifically to hire a woman? Okay, I'll take that. It is what it is, but I've worked men's events too, right? I've worked NBA, I've worked NFL, I've worked Major League Baseball, I've worked Division I men's, basketball tournaments, and the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 in 2017. So it is possible where they are willing to, step outside, and it doesn't have to be a man working a man's event, or there's only 2 female PA announcers in the WNBA. So that's
Really?
a women's league, and there's only 2 of us. So, hopefully there will be more, but, there's, not a lot of us out there. So I'm hoping more women will see, maybe see me out there when they're attending a game and be like, I want to do that. And so I'm always willing to help others learn and grow and get into the industry if I can.
Yeah, yeah. Now, you talk about getting back into the WNBA. with their first expansion team, I believe, in 17 years, Golden
Yes.
State, the Valkyries.
Yes.
What's it like announcing in the the WNBA again in general, but more specifically for the Valkyries as an expansion team where it's kind of a blank slate for everybody getting started? What was all that like?
I still get nervous. 24 plus years, I
Mhm.
still get nervous. In fact, this was one of those opportunities. I kind of remember where it was when it all unfolded. I remember when they announced that San Francisco was getting a team. I kind of decided at that point it was time to step away. I was working locally in USL, and then
Mhm.
those two seasons kind of happened at the same time. And I knew it was still a year and a half away, but it was something I wanted to pursue when the time came.
Mhm.
So I decided after 10 seasons, okay, I'm going to step away from working with Sac Republic, even though I loved that job and I absolutely love
Mhm.
working soccer. Um, I knew that I couldn't do both. So I decided I wanted to step away. I wanted to have a free summer, but when the time presented itself, I was going to apply. So I
Mhm.
kept my eyes open online for an opportunity to pop. And I'll be honest, I didn't even see when it happened. I decided I was going to reach out before they announced that they were looking for someone for a PA announcer. And I just happened to reach out. I shot an email off to someone. I poked around. I got some names and I just introduced myself and my body of work and sent them the link to my website. Um, and they mentioned that they were looking for a PA announcer and they were going to be going through, audition. I'd say tapes, but that's so old school. They were going through reels, and they were looking at resumes, that kind of thing. And so I threw my hat into the ring. And this was like February of this year or January, something like that. So literally it was that weekend they were going to be reviewing stuff. And then a short time later, they were having auditions. And this was, well, I knew it was before the WNBA, the Final Four, WNBA, the Final Four for college, because I remember doing my final interview when I was sitting in a hotel room in Tampa. And, but they had in-person auditions. So it's been a while since I've had to audition for anything. In fact, the first job I got in the WNBA is when I auditioned last. And so it was me and I think like 4 or 5 other people that auditioned, and we went to Chase Center. We had,
Mhm.
in-person auditions in the venue. And then we also had a panel there were 3 people on a panel and they did some, Q&A back and
Oh,
forth.
okay. Okay.
And I felt good when I left it, but I didn't hear anything right away. And I was like, wow. I mean, I didn't know it was, I think there were
Yeah.
2 women and 3 men, 3 or 4 men that were
Yeah.
there. And eventually I heard back from their HR person, and I interviewed with another person then I interviewed with another person. And then I was finally offered the position. And I can't tell you how excited and nervous I was. And even though it was kind of full circle,
Mhm.
and even having done really, really big events, I was so excited to be part of something from day one.
From the
Like,
ground up. Yeah.
there's nothing like it. You didn't know how it was going to be received, and you didn't
Mhm.
know everything was a first. The first bucket, everything was a first of a lifetime moment, and that's kind of like what the theme was all season long.
Yeah.
They became the first expansion team to make it into the playoffs in the WNBA. So, the head coach of the year. So a lot of first last seasons, and I was just thrilled to be a part of it. And I got to tell you, the enthusiasm in what they call Valhalla, which is inside Chase
Mhm.
Center, what they call
Yeah.
the crowd, um, amazing. I've never felt anything like that. And like I said, I've worked events with 65,000 plus people. I've
Mhm.
worked, like I said, I've worked NFL, NBA. Nothing tops the level of enthusiasm of that crowd. And that just energizes me. That makes me want to work harder, perform better for them, because I want to give them the best experience possible. And I'm one piece of a puzzle, but it just inspired me. And even though my commute was 2 hours each way, I still left, whether win or lose, I still drove home with a smile on my face. And I look forward to season 2.
Welcome to the court,
your 2025 Golden State Valkyries!
Oh, wow. Yeah, to do that and everything being the first time. And I would imagine it's crossed your mind at some point that there's somebody up in that crowd in this arena today who's here for the first time, who's hearing me or watching this game for the first time. That feeling has to be tremendous for you and for the people listening to you.
It is, and when you say something, when you open your mouth and in front of a microphone and the crowd reacts to it, there's something, it just creates this feeling inside. So yes, I hope that I added to the fun. I hope I helped. Just all I ever want to do is improve the moment, make the moment shine just a little bit brighter. And just interacting with the fans and getting the feedback that I got, it just brightens my day.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks, we're going to take a media timeout here. And when we come back, Jaime alluded to working in the NBA and the NFL. Well, we'll give her a chance to talk about that a little bit more. Announcing the Game is a free resource to public address announcers that take you through how to take your skills to the next level. A simple click on the sport gives you free access to a video that goes over terminology and rules specific to a lot of sports. So take a look. See if we can help you improve your skills. So folks, we're back with Jaime Coffey and her time in the WNBA. So Jaime, you've already talked a little bit about working in the WNBA, but you've also worked in games in the NBA and in the NFL. What were those games like for you?
It's funny because I do treat every, depending, even, high school, college, pro, I treat them all with the same amount of preparation and excitement and enthusiasm. But there is something about being a first, right? I remember specifically, I remember the NBA. That was in January of 2014, right? I got a phone call, and that was the Kings, same team that owned the Monarchs. So they're familiar with me, right? So it wasn't completely, I wasn't a foreign person coming in that they'd never heard before. But they were in a pinch. Their PA announcer, he got the flu. He had never missed a game, and they're like, "Hey, Moke might miss a game. Can you come in?" And I was like, "Sure." I was at work. I was like, "Okay." This is like 11 o'clock. And they're like, "Okay, we'll let you know by 1. 1 o'clock came. I get a call, and they said, "We need you." So I said, "Okay, I'll be there." So I went in, and when I got there, and again, wasn't nervous at this point. No big deal. It's just another game. I get there, and they're like, "Hey, by the way, we pushed out a press release. We believe that you're the first female to ever do an NBA game." I was like, "Great." Now I'm nervous. Now there's pressure.
No pressure.
So, so they said, "We have a couple of media outlets here that want to do an interview with you, blah, blah, blah." So now I'm nervous. But it went fine, right?
Okay.
Once I get in the moment, the nerves are there at the beginning. And then they're gone. I'm nervous still at the beginning of every season. I can tell when I'm nervous is I have a bad habit with my leg. I bounce it under the table.
Yeah.
But that goes away. You knock the rust off by, into the first quarter and you're good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but it was pretty exciting. I was even more nervous because I'm a huge NFL fan, right? Absolutely, football is, if I could do, well, no, I love basketball. I love doing basketball again. I love the speed. I love the pace, but I love watching football. So for me, I always wanted to do football. It's the hardest thing to me, in my opinion. I think it's the hardest sport to serve as a PA announcer for, doing the play-by-play. If you don't have a good spotter, you're screwed. So, because I think that the spotter is the most important person in the room. Like, they are the MVP. Without a good spotter, you're not going to have a good call. So that was a little more nerve-wracking, but now I've done it 3 seasons in a row, so I don't really get I don't want to say nervous
Yeah,
anymore,
yeah.
but I still get pretty excited and pretty pumped when I get invited back to do it. I've only done the one NBA game. He just never misses
Yeah,
a game.
yeah.
So I was on standby one other game, but he ended up showing up. So that was during the COVID years.
Okay.
Um, but I hope there's more to come. You know, I still, like I said, I still have a full-time job that I work. So I don't really have the time to do, say, Major League Baseball. There's way too many games.
Yeah.
Maybe when I retire in a few years, I'll be able to just focus on
Okay.
that, and I could pick up Major League Baseball, or I
Yeah.
could pick
Okay.
up, more sports where I'm flying out and gone for multiple days at a time. I do that now, but I have to burn vacation days to do it.
Yeah. So now, when you're working all these events, as the first female to do an NBA game, the first NFL game, the first game for an expansion team in the WNBA, when you look at all those opportunities, how much of those opportunities to you are you being a trailblazer, and how much of it is just, I'm just a damn good public address announcer working another big event?
You know, it's so funny. I don't think of myself as good. I mean, I guess I try to stay humble, right? So I think a lot of it too. I've made a lot of great connections over the year, right? You do a good job, and when people are looking for someone and hey, do you have anyone you can recommend? It's word of mouth. So that's why I treat every opportunity, regardless of the level, with the same amount of care and passion and preparation. Um, just because you never know what it could lead to. And a lot of them have led to a lot of the opportunities. Um, it's funny, when I got into Pac-12, it was someone who used to work for the Monarchs had left to go to the conference. And she's, the same person who, invited me to work because they were hosting, Pac-12 was hosting the Sweet 16 Elite Eight for the men in San Jose. So you make connections. And if you continue to do a good job and you work hard, you get invited back. You don't, then no one thinks of you when they're really looking for someone. And I hope that my reputation precedes me. And again, I don't know if it's me being a trailblazer, but there's still some sports I haven't done yet that I don't know if women have done. So I'm happy to hop in. I'm sure there's been a woman who's done hockey, but that's a sport I haven't done yet. Maybe one day I'll tackle that.
Yeah. Now I've had somebody tell me years ago to treat every game like it's an audition, because you don't know who's out there listening, who's out there asking. Every game is an audition. Exactly what you're talking about right there. Now, Jaime, I've heard some pretty high compliments about you and your work. Things like, she's a turnkey announcer, grace under pressure, a true pro and a team player. How much do those words mean to you, not just professionally, but personally?
I'm grateful for the kind words over the years. I'd be lying if I didn't say it didn't feel good to hear that. But it means a lot. Every single time someone says something positive, it feels good. And it's always been my goal to enhance the moment and not detract from it. So,
Exactly.
when I get those compliments, I take that as a reflection of my work and the
As you should.
preparation, the
Yes.
professionalism, the connection that I have with the audience, the fans. And, I've always believed that announcers make people feel something, right? They create,
Exactly.
if someone walks away, saying that they felt something, or they were moved, or they had a good time, I've done my job. So yes, the take good, they feel good, but I don't take them. Stay humble, and every event is an opportunity to earn new trust. So
Well said. Well said. Now, you talked a minute about challenging yourself to something new, and I read where you said you want to do something new and different every year, and you said the National Hockey League or the Olympic Games are still on your not yet list. But what keeps you driven to look for that next big challenge, as opposed to just, I'm doing a good job where I am, and I'm happy with that? What's the difference?
I don't know why. I've thrived on challenges, even outside in other things. I love a good challenge. And it's fun to do something new every year. This year, I guess it's working with the expansion team, right? That getting back into the WNBA. That was something new. A couple of years ago, it was NFL. And I like to be pushed out of my comfort zone. I kind of feel like I thrive in that, and that um, it's just events I've done for the first time, like baseball. That was something where, talk about out of my comfort zone. And even the College World Series, had I worked a softball game before? Yeah, but maybe one or two. But then when I did them, why do it on a small level? Let's just step right into like the first football game I ever worked, Pac-12's championship. It was in Vegas where the Raiders play at Allegiant, 65,000 people. I had never served as a PA announcer for football at all. I've watched a lot of football, but I had never been behind the mic for it. I managed to pull it off. I guess fake it till you make it.
Well, that's a testament to what we were talking about a few minutes ago, that you've done things a certain way, and other people have developed confidence in what you do, not necessarily where you do it, to then say, I think she can do well and do a football game. She can do well doing the College World Series and call softball games for a week. It sounds like that's what you've developed over time by pushing yourself and looking for that next challenge. And then talking about that, about getting outside your comfort zone and looking for that next big challenge. That's something you like to do, but is that something you'd like to see everybody embrace, whether they're a public address announcer or they're doing something completely different?
Oh, I mean, I think everybody should challenge themselves. Life is boring. Why would you want to just stay stagnant? I mean, sure, yes, it's comfortable, but how much fun is comfortable? I mean, I love trying new things, meeting new people, doing these new things, and taking on these new opportunities what's allowed me to continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe somebody different heard me, or they put me in front of a different production company that was handling the event, and they had something. In fact, I remember 2 years ago, I was on standby for the Rose Bowl because the announcer had, he was not well. It was the COVID era.
Yeah.
Or it was a couple of years ago. He had COVID and he was just getting over. They didn't know if he's going to be able to do it. And this is a longtime announcer. Great. He's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, I don't want to come after them. I don't want to be the one filling in for them. But I said yes. I didn't hesitate. I said absolutely. I will come. And I didn't end up working. Thankfully, he felt better and was able to do it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But I was more than willing to put myself in that uncomfortable position because the reward is so much greater than those nerves.
Yes, absolutely. So, folks, we're going to take another brief time out here. And when we return, Jaime will tell us about something that's near and dear to her heart. We'll be right back.
www.publicaddressannouncer.org.
So here we are, folks, back again with Jaime Coffey. So, Jaime, let's talk about something that's near and dear to your heart, the Watch Me initiative. Paint a picture of that for us and why it matters so much to you.
Watch Me, it kind of resonates with me because it's not just about sports, right? It's more about visibility and opportunity and belief. And for so long, women and girls have been doing incredible things in athletics, but they don't always have the same spotlight that the men. I mean, it's the same with female PA announcers. So Watch Me kind of flips that narrative, right? It says, don't look away, watch what we're doing. So it's encouraging girls to stay in the game, stay confident. You belong on that stage, right? So I kind of it definitely hits home with me, and it's something that I've lived my entire career. Is it getting better? Yes, it gets better with each and every passing year. Being the first woman to announce in what are traditionally male
Yeah.
roles.
Hmm.
I didn't set out to make history, but it happened. So watch me.
Embrace it, yeah. Well, as a father of two grown daughters, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I tell people I'm so proud of them because they're gotten themselves to a point in their life where they love what they're doing and they love working at what they're doing. And to the fathers out there, I'm sure they will understand exactly what I'm talking about, to be able to see them take ownership like that. And when you see somebody that either you or somebody else in that organization mentored, and they've found that confidence, whether it's behind the mic or someplace else, what does that feel like for you?
Oh, I absolutely love it. It's interesting because I've had the opportunity to talk to and mentor a few different people over the years, and it's such a high compliment when someone reaches out to you and looks to you for advice. And I don't think I'm the end all be all because I still look to others.
Hmm.
But any opportunity I have to share even an ounce of wisdom with them, I will take that opportunity. But I love when I see them spread their wings and just take off. There's no prouder moment. I mean, I don't have kids of my own, but I'm sure that's how when you see your girls
Yeah.
thriving that
Hmm.
you feel.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Now let's change tracks here and be a little less serious.
Okay.
But we ask these next questions of all of our guests. First, your favorite behind the mic moment. One of those where I have to make sure the volume's down on the microphone so I don't scream like everybody else moments. Any of those for you?
I mean, of course, obviously, championship moments are those
Hmm.
times. I know you know, doing the WNBA championship 2005,
Hmm.
Monarchs won it, and we happened to have the game. I think I don't. It may have gone to seven. It's been so long, but um, those moments and being there when one of the players, Carol Lawson, I remember she jumped up on the table at the end when they won. And sometimes you gotta be like, oh my God, shut the mic off, because I'm like yelling and I've even still sometimes I'll be so into a game, I'm like, oh God, I gotta announce that. Or, someone just made a basket or someone just
Yep.
fouled, and
Yep.
I'm like so into the game that I forget that I'm not just there, to be entertained. I'm part of the presentation, so I need to pay attention, and I can't get angry. I have to, I can't throw my hands in the air and fist pump or whatever.
Hmm.
But at least when you're in a press box, you can get a little more, slam your
There's
fist
there's a
down.
little more leeway up there. Yeah.
Yes, but in basketball, you are front and center, and sometimes you are on national TV. And I remember just this last season during the WNBA, they were having shot clock issues. And literally for 30 minutes, they stopped the game. They sent I had never seen this. They sent the players back to the locker rooms. The coaches weren't going to play. At one point, they asked me, and this was all I didn't realize that the commentators were on TV were having to basically vamp and fill 30, this 30 minutes, and they're talking. I was going to have to count down when they didn't have the shot clock working anymore. Anytime it got to 10, they were going to make me count down 10, 9,
Really?
8. Yes. And I was going to basically be a verbal shot clock. And I had so many people sending me pictures because apparently the camera was on me and the announcers were talking about this while the refs were explaining it to me. And I don't have a good poker face. I have no business playing poker. But I think I had the worst look on my face. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
Oh no.
Um, and fortunately, it didn't come to that. They figured out their issues during halftime. They
Oh,
rolled
okay.
some old shot clocks out
Hmm.
prior to that and then fixed the issue during the half. But I moments like that are like, ooh, yeah.
Now, on the flip side, As announcers, we've all had that moment where something comes out of our mouth and we instantly want it back. Any of those moments for you? And how did you move on?
Fortunately, I think because I was in radio for so long, I never had
Mhm.
any slips. Like,
Okay,
are you
okay.
talking like swearing accidentally on the mic or um
Or misspeaking, mispronouncing, reading the wrong line or the wrong piece of copy at the wrong time or something like that?
I mean, of course, at some point you trip over a name or
Mhm.
you butcher a word. I think there's still some words that to this day I can't. Cumulative. That's a word that anytime I'd have to read that, and that word only would come up in copy for like a read during a tournament for Pac-12 because they were very big on academics. They probably still are, but when I would do the tournaments, there'd be all these academic reads, and that word, I swear to you, I cannot say it for the life of me. So I I try not to trip on things. I know with our WNBA, our Valkyries team, a good majority of the team was international, and we probably
Mhm.
had some of the toughest names in the league. And I even now, I just worked this past weekend. I was in North Carolina working the Ally tip-off, and it was USC versus NC State. And one of the gals on USC has a pretty tough name. She's from Lithuania, and I always reach out ahead of time to
Yep,
my, the comms people, the SID, whatever,
yep.
whoever I can get pronunciations for. I'll ask for 5 minutes of their time to run through the roster so I can write it out phonetically before I get there. And then
Mhm.
when I get there, I will make a point to find them and read
Yes.
through it real quick again just to make sure I'm all dialed in. And there are some names, especially even working U.S. women's national team games, all of those names, when you
Mhm.
get people from other countries, those can be tricky.
Oh, I know. Yes.
Names from Denmark, I was like, what do you do with two dots and a weird squiggly thing? So, I mean, yes, I've probably butchered a name here and there along the way,
Mhm.
and it drives me nuts. But boy, when you nail that hard name, there is nothing
Oh,
like it.
doesn't
You
that
just
feel
want to
great?
say it
Yes.
over and
That's
over.
exactly. I was gonna say that. Now, I don't know if you've run into this, but I have for a few schools that I announce when they come in to Syracuse or to Colgate. Their roster has an audio pronunciation where the player says their own name in their own hometown. And whenever I talk to the SID, I say, "Whoever put that on that website should get a big raise." They don't realize how valuable a resource like that is. Because I'm sure you've heard it also. The player will say that their name, you'll say it back, and they'll say, "That's close enough." No, 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 no. Our job is to get it exactly
Yes.
right. Yes.
100%. And yes, I do appreciate the schools, especially in dealing with tournaments, right?
Mhm,
Where they have some of them have them, some of them don't. And the ones
mhm,
as soon as I start, the ones that have them, I absolutely love because then I sound like less of an idiot. I'm still gonna reach out to the person at the school that's their
mhm.
comms
Yes.
person and go through the names. But at least I've had the chance to hear it. The hardest ones for me are when they let the players say it and then they send me the audio and there's a thick accent. I'm like, oh, yeah, I still don't know exactly what they're saying.
Mhm.
I'm like, "Can I anglicize it?" Or
Oh, yeah, that's where the SID earns their money when they talk to you. Yes.
100%.
Mhm. Now, earlier you talked about some people along the way, the people sitting at the table, people in radio that have helped you answer your questions and such. Well, here's a chance for you to pay all that advice you've received forward. What advice would you give to anyone out there who's maybe dreaming about stepping behind the mic, whether it's their son or daughter's youth league game or somewhere in the pros? What would that one bit of advice be?
You know what? There's a lot I would say, but, um, no matter what the level, treat everything like you're preparing, you know? Treat it like a pro, prepare like a pro, even if it's a small event, right? Learn your pronunciations, know the flow of the game, treat every single assignment like it's the absolute biggest stage that you're ever going to work. So that professionalism is what builds your reputation. And again, I've learned tricks over the years. I would say I'm definitely a much better now than I was when I started in 2001, but I treat everything, I go in like a pro and I prepare. And it's also important to find your own voice, right? Um, it's easy to want to sound, like the booming announcers, all the ones that we've all heard in the big venues. But authenticity is what connects, right? That connects more than imitation. Let your personality shine through. They hired you. If they wanted that person, they would have hired them. Absolutely. So, and then you're part of a team. You're not the show. You're part of a team, right? You're part of the athletes, the crew, the fans. You're all helping to build a story together. So the smoother that, you communicate with one another, with your game ops people, the audio teams, it's just the whole show. It feels better. It sounds better. When things go sideways, and they will,
Yes,
no
they
matter
do.
no matter how many times you rehearse or practice things, there's still most of the time, I would say 99.9% of the time, nobody in the stands knows that anything's wrong. Things are going to go wrong. Things aren't going to go when they're supposed to. The cues, you need to speed up for TV. Stay calm.
Yeah. Great advice. Great advice all around. So one last question, Jaime, before we let you go. With all the events you've done, what keeps you coming back? What excites you every time that you get behind the mic?
There's nothing like the energy of a live crowd, right? The split second before a big play, the roar after,
Yes.
you can feel the emotion in the building, and being a part of that atmosphere, it never gets old. It never loses its magic. So as a PA announcer, you're kind of the bridge between what's happening on the courts, on the field, on the pitch. It's how the audiences experience it. It's how they experience it. It's being a part of that moment. It's a shared moment, and you kind of set the tone with your voice, and it keeps me coming back. Right. I love being a part of First, and it's special to know these memories, like the champ that you announced for. Some of these kids, especially the college kids, they'll never hear their name.
That's right.
And in that moment, especially like when I work Final Four, right? Some of these teams that are making it for the first time, that's huge. That is their entire world, right? And to hear their name announced, especially in a starting lineup, there's just being a part of it, and I don't take it for granted. feeling I still get from it, even 24 plus years later, I'm not ready to give that up. There's still more challenges to accomplish and to conquer.
Mhm.
I'm going to keep coming back as long as I keep getting invited back to the table, to the mic. And I look forward to seeing what's to come and seeing how things progress and being a part of the change.
And we all look forward to hearing you at those future events. That's it, folks, for another episode of PAA Game Day. And we want to thank our guest, Jaime Coffey, for spending some time with us again today. So, Jaime, again, thank you so much for being able to talk with us today.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
And for all of you out there, thank you for joining us. Wherever you're getting your podcast, after watching or listening today, take a minute and leave us a review. We're always looking for constructive feedback as we put together our next podcast, when I'll be interviewing Jeff Kowarski, the public address announcer for the Dallas Cowboys in the NFL and the Dallas Stars in the NHL. And don't forget, folks, to check out all of our free resources at publicaddressannouncer.org. And yes, I said everything on there is absolutely free. So until next time, I'm Tom Winiecki, and I can't wait to hear you on the mic.